Alright, so at this point you should have all of your strings entered in and you should have all of your controls here on your emulator. And now what we're ready to do is go into our main activity Java file and code up all of this so that it works. So we are ready to code. Now we code. So click inside of the main activity. And let me close that down. And there are several things that we have to code within this application. So do your best to follow along and make sure that you think back to all the things that we had to do in the previous module, such as importing certain things in. Remember, Java needs to import in certain classes so it can find things. The use of autocomplete, and the fact that you know, the editor here is going to try to help you. So using that autocomplete will help you not only find the methods and things that you're wanting, but also at certain points it will create a stub where you can go in and complete the code that's required for the method that you are putting together. So the first thing that we are going to code is actually for the text field. So I have all the code here, so you're not going to have any of this, so it's going to look a little bit different to you. This is sort of something that I already pre-baked instead of you having to watch me type every single line out in a video. I kind of have it already here, but that's okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out in your main activity.java file, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to code for the text field. So we're going to make a line here for the text field. We're going to use the keyword final, and we are going to do edit text tickets is equal to edit text find view by ID r.id text tickets. So what we're doing here is we are going to initialize and reference that edit text class by the ID name of text tickets, and this is what this is going to look like. And again, you might have to do your option return or your alt enter to import in that class so that you don't have any red squiggly lines. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to code up the spinner. So this is our drop down list. So sort of the same thing here. We are going to initialize and reference the spinner control with the ID name of text group. And these should look familiar to you because they're all, you know, hooking up to those strings and those widgets that you used previously. So final spinner group is equal to the spinner class, find view by ID, and r dot is the resource drawer, dot ID, dot text group. The next thing we're going to work with is the actual button control. And we're going to go ahead and initialize the button control. So button cost, find by view r.id.button cost. So we have to declare it and set it up. The next thing we have to do is code what the actual button will do. So we're going to put a method here that will help us put the code in there to execute what the button is going to do when it is actually clicked. So that is going to look like what I have right here. So what we're going to do is cost. So we're going to set on click listener, new, view.onClick listener. And inside of that, we are going to go ahead and use our text view and set up the result of what that's going to be. Then we're going to create another method, and if you do this the right way, it'll set up a stub placeholder for you, but if not, just go ahead and key it in. So we have a method here, public void, means we're not returning anything from it, and on click view, this is what we're going to do. We are going to use a get method to get the number of tickets, and we're going to convert that to a string variable. So out on the screen, it is in one format, and we are going to use a dot parse integer to put it into another format. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to do the calculation total cost. And here's where you'll see why we had to actually do a conversion. So number of tickets is an integer type of a variable. And so here what we're doing is we're parsing that and getting that from the text box on the application, converting that over so that we can do some math with it, because otherwise it won't let us do the calculation. So the next line of code is to do the calculation. Total cost is equal to number of tickets times cost per ticket. Then we are going to use a Java formatting class called decimal format, and we're going to format the output all nice and pretty. So we're going to put a wrapper around that. So decimal format currency is equal to new decimal format, and then inside of these double quotes, this is how I tell it how I want it to be formatted. So I have a $, and you'll see I have placeholders and then a decimal point if it were to get that large. The next thing I have to do is code the set method. So what I'm going to do here is get my actual item selected, and I'm going to set that so that I can put that into my field called result. So result.setText is equal to, and here is where I'm going to have the output information on my screen into that field, that text, that output field called result. So it's going to be equal to cost for whatever the value of group choice is, which that's the item that I just selected, and I got that from that method above. Concatenated with is concatenated with the total cost, which is the calc I did up here, with that decimal formatted class applied to it. So, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that bad. So we are putting together our variables. We're coding up the spinner, we code up the button with the actual listener event. We put together the method for when the event actually takes place, and boom, here you have it. Now, there's some variables that we need, and you might have seen these when I first started up the video. Without these variables, none of this is going to work. So normally, programmers declare the variables at the top of an application. That way, it's just a consistent place to put things. And it's always a good idea to document what the variables are and what the purpose is. It's also a good idea to clear them out and initialize them with either a value or set them equal to 0 if the value is going to change throughout the life of the application. So the first one is a double. It's cost per ticket, and it's going to be $79.99. So we're hard coding that. That's not going to change throughout the life of our app. The next one is number of tickets, and it's an integer, and we're going to set that equal to 0. Now think back to the conversations we've had on variable types, and an integer, of course, is a whole number. We're not going to buy half of a ticket, so we would make that an integer, where cost per ticket or total cost could have decimal places because our ticket is $79.99, so that means we're going to have some decimals involved. So those are going to be doubles. And then I set those both equal to 0 so my Java program doesn't complain about it not being referenced or not having a value. The last thing is a string variable called group choice, and this is the actual selection that the end user is going to make when the application runs. Alright, so at this point I think we are ready to run our application. So we will click the play button, and we will choose our selected device, and we'll wait for that to spin up. And now I have my application running, and if I want 5 tickets, I'll enter that in here. And let's say I'm going to go to the Spice Girls. Click Find Cost, and it tells me cost for Spice Girls is $399.95. That's pretty cheap for 5 tickets. And it looks like I have some spacing issues in there. And of course that's going to be controlled in that concatenation section of your code. So down here I need to go in and put some extra spacing so that I can take care of that situation there. But that's the end of the TicketValue app.